here this morning on the link, the Breeze 93.9. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Sabrina.
Good morning. Did you hear that story?
Yeah, we definitely want to get your take on this.
Yeah, I sure did hear that story. I want to hear Gov Guam's story.
Yeah, I think we all do.
What are they doing to help this guy?
Sounds
This
like
is an outrage.
checking his temperature. That's what they were doing.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah.
That's a heartbreaking story.
Yeah.
Tom, why haven't we seen, a serious, I know there was one legal challenge with the district court with the roadblocks that was, I think Ken Leon Guerrero may have been filled out in crayon, but, why haven't we seen a serious legal challenge with this quarantine issue? Is this something that you think will maybe come down later, or
Legally?
Or do you think that people do have standing to kind of?
Well, certainly anybody that's affected by a quarantine would have standing, but I think the question is whether or not a government is allowed to do this in a public health emergency. I think probably a short answer would be it's within the government's police power to do this. But, the fact that it's within the power doesn't mean that they also have the power to abuse those people who are in their care. And in my opinion, Mr. Shaw, a very articulate young man, is being abused. Gov Guam needs to deal with this, and they need to deal with it right now. There's a family out there that is before us all hurting, and they need to get on the stick.
Well, that's why I like you, Tom. Is never hesitate to give your 2 cents.
Right. And during this public health emergency, we've seen a lot of different things and a lot of special powers that apparently.
But it's like they only have special powers when it's something to help themselves. I mean, where's the superpowers now?
Yeah. And what I saw in the newspaper, Gov Guam is receiving $1.6 billion in federal aid. They're awash in money. It's not like they don't have the resources to address this situation, to address it.
Right. Yeah.
And if you don't want to address it, then we'll take care of that at the ballot box.
Well, there you go. Tom, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you first.
No, I was going to say we brought you on to talk about the case that you filed regarding FOIAs and WhatsApps. And so if you could just kind of run us through what was the outcome from, I guess, the decision that came out?
From Judge Iriarte.
Yeah, Judge Iriarte published a decision last Friday, and what we were looking for is communication inside the Attorney General's office having to do with pay, and also communication between the Attorney General's office and the office of the governor having to do with pay. And, the AG weighed in and said, no, we're not going to give you anything. And the judge said, no, you are going to give him something. And what they are going to give so far is communications inside the Attorney General's office. His lawyers call them DNOs, decisions and orders. That came out last Friday, and they still haven't complied. So,
what's been has there been any communication, or are you just sitting around waiting for that email?
I am sitting around and waiting for them to produce the documents which the Superior Court has ordered them to produce. I will tell you, quite frankly, it has been like pulling teeth. Not just in this case. This is, I was writing them down. It looks like just in the last 12 months, I've done 4 FOIA requests. Each of them has been opposed by the Attorney General's office. I've had to go to court and get a judge to order compliance each time. And as I've gone through this process, I was going to say it's ironic, but it's absurd, because this law is designed to allow people to read their government's communications unless there's a protection.
Right.
Yet, as we try to do that, they resist it each and every step of the way. Now, I've been in practice here on Guam for about 30 years, lawyer. I've been around the FOIA laws a little bit, and obviously the courthouse. What about a person who hasn't done that and isn't clear on how they would make a FOIA? And then when the agency just stiff arms them, 9 times out of 10, they're just going to drop it because they don't have, the wherewithal, the time, the institutional knowledge to proceed on their FOIA request. And frankly, I think a lot of the agencies count on that. You know, you make something difficult and maybe they'll just go away.
Right.
You know, this just in the last couple of months, I've had to go to court against the Port of Guam. Roy Respicio down there wasn't turning over procurement files. Obviously, just had to go against the Attorney General, and the Attorney General has been ordered to comply. GMHA, again, I'm going to be in court on the 28th. They haven't complied. And Guam Police Department last year didn't comply. It's mind-boggling. And, you know, one thing about this DNO, which I think is, you know, really moved the ball down the field, is it's now clear that WhatsApp communications, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, if you're conducting government business, you have to disclose that because those become public documents.
Wow, Tom, hold on. You hear that? You hear that? That's the sound of the cabinet and all the directors clearing their chats right now.
Well, the director and all the members of the cabinet who are clearing their chats right now are also committing a crime. Those are public documents. You can't just go in and destroy a public document.
Or can you?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
In the DNO that came out on Friday, did it give a specific deadline for the AG's office to turn over these communications?
It did. It gave them 10 days. They're due on the 28th. And what no, excuse me, I misunderstood. They have 10 days to turn over an index explaining to the judge why they are refusing to disclose certain documents. And they have to describe the document and why it falls within a privilege. There is no deadline. Well, there is. Immediately. They need to turn over the documents, the internal documents from the Attorney General's office. Those have to be turned over immediately. And here we are in business day 4, nothing.
Wow.
So would penalties apply? I think it's is it $1,000 a day for every day that?
Well, it's if we prevail, we expect to. The judge may order a fine against the agency head for $1,000. The fine goes to the guy. I want to make that clear. The money goes to the Treasury of Guam. It doesn't go to the attorneys. And it doesn't go to a plaintiff. It goes to the Treasury of Guam. Yeah. You know, you've got to have teeth in these statutes. Otherwise, people will just blow them off.
They do. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, which they do.
Yeah. I think that instead of like a fine or something, I mean, yeah, do a fine, but they should also make like the AG or whoever doesn't want to give over any FOIA documents stand at Chief Kapua Loop with a big sign that says, I promise I will be more transparent for the people of Guam.
Well,
I mean, that kind of like old school punishment, I think, because they don't care. They're going to pay $1,000 fine.
Go ahead.
The $1,000 is supposed to come out of their own pockets, of course. Right. And for some people, that's a huge bite. But these folks who are pulling down, 6 figures, I don't know how much of a bite that is on them. Right. But, if the judge can find that if it is unreasonable and arbitrary and capricious, that the individual has committed a misdemeanor. So theoretically, for example, Roy Respicio could be found guilty of committing a misdemeanor by not complying. The same with Levin Camacho. He hasn't complied, and the judge could take that extra step and find him to be a misdemeanor.
Tom, what do you think is the main takeaway for the general public here? Because it's, the FOIAs and, getting these documents. To me, it's really simple. It's like they're trying to hide stuff from you guys, and they're succeeding. And this lawsuit is about forcing our elected leaders and the people who work for us, who get paid on the public dime. It's about forcing them to comply and let us see documents, which there are WhatsApp community. Those are our documents. So to me, it's pretty simple what this is about.
Yeah, it's certainly not complicated. I certainly don't think any citizen needs to go running into court just to get the government to do what the government is supposed to do. There's a provision in the Sunshine Act. Here's a fun game to play when the government agencies open up again. They are supposed to post in a public area that is open to the public the procedures for making a FOIA request. And I would bet you dollars to donuts nobody's ever seen one of those information posters posted in any government office.
Well, I like
When
donuts.
they open up, everybody should go have a look.
Right.
And I think, Chris and Sabrina, you know that, making a FOIA request is not difficult. There's no magic to it at all. You just send them an email. This is what I want.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there is a magic to it. And I'll tell you guys, I send a lot of FOIAs. And to me, it's almost disingenuous when you got to really like specifically word the request the correct way, or they'll be like, oh yeah, I don't know, I don't got that. But they know the spirit of the request. They know the documents that you're looking for. And so,
that's usually their go-to.
Right. It's not just a problem for, Attorney Tom Fisher. It's a problem for the media. I mean, they will use exemptions that you're like, no, this is not a protected document. And then, what's the remedy? I mean, go take them to court. I mean, we're a small business, man. We got to, we're going to take them to court every time they drag their feet on a FOIA.
Yeah, and Chris, quite frankly, they know you won't do that because you don't have the financial resources to afford a lawyer to do it,
right?
Et cetera, and so forth. It just occurred to me. I wonder why maybe we should amend the charter for the Public Defenders Corporation to have them handle, regardless of income, have them handle FOIA requests.
Right.
Because the people, it's our document. We get to look at it.
Yeah.
They ought not to be standing in the way of it.
Right.
Are you anticipating though that this is going to go to the Supreme Court?
I don't know. I don't know if Levin Camacho is going to appeal this decision of Judge Iriarte. He certainly has done what he can to prevent disclosures, but I don't know if he's going to take that next step.
Okay, Tom.
So, yeah.
Another thing that they do that I thought is interesting is I've FOIA'd documents that are already in electronic form, yet they'll print them and then try and charge you $5 million to get the documents that were already in a digital form that they could have simply emailed. But instead, they're trying to break your bank and be like, oh, you want it? Hey, we're going to print it out. Guess what? It's $500. So, yeah, guys, honest, the government, of course, they hardly ever give the information willingly.
And why is that? Why? It's mind-boggling. They consider, it's almost like certain agencies consider their constituents to be pests.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Why are you bothering me?
Get out of here with your pesky FOIA request.
Yeah. Get out of here.
Pesky meddling media.
It's just a shame. It's just a shame. But you got to keep pushing. You have to keep pushing because one thing they're counting on is just exhaustion by the public.
Yeah. Well, Tom, thank you. Thanks, for coming on. Keep us posted, okay?
Yeah, I sure will.
And if you ever get those WhatsApp communications, why don't you WhatsApp them over to me?
Well, I think I will. And if I can, I appreciate you having me on. But, my problems don't seem like much compared to Mr. Shaw. Yeah. And, gosh, I hope GovGuam does something for him and they do it today.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom. Take care.
Wash your hands. Be safe. Dig in the beard.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're gonna play Santa Claus this December? Or?
It's looking more and more like it.
There you go, Tom Fisher. 9 o'clock, we're KUAM FM in Agotnia, Guam. It's the link on the breeze, 93.9. We will take a short break, and we're coming back with, at 9:30, we're getting public health. We have Dr. Suzanne Konashiro and Annette from the Contact Trace Division. They're going to be talking about community mass testing.